Hello? Can anyone around here speak basketball?
There it is.
It's the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast.
Kyle Lowry. Welcome to the Confederacy of Dunks Basketball Podcast. I am your host, Freddie Rivas. And who, sir, are you?
My name is Matt. I'm the producer of this podcast. I'm having a fantastic time. We had a great episode today. How are you doing, Fred?
I am doing A-OK. I'm feeling light. I'm feeling happy about the Raptors' trajectory despite 2 losses in a row. Just like you said, we had a good pod today. It was fun.
Yeah. It's been some really huge wins. Last time we talked after we beat the Milwaukee that one game, and he was Giannis was looking at the heavens. And boy, was he doing it again in the next game, just can't beat those pesky Raps, can you?
We definitely really did nail the, Giannis is the Prometheus guy thinking about life.
Absolutely.
Scene,
But I would definitely, if you were to, try to word this Raptors season, you could really do it in that Baynes play where he went to shoot, missed, but then somehow got it back and did a ferocious dunk. It's been kind of that kind of year.
If you're going to summarize this season, you do it Baynes style. Patience is a virtue. If people want to, Matt, support us, make us rich, move us to Texas like Joe Rogan so we can really speak freely, stuff like that. That's a weird intro to this. If you want to help us for the pod, if you want to, bump up our ratings, all that jazz. How do they do that, Matt?
Yeah, we've got all different kinds of arteries that you can find yourself flowing through. One is our Instagram and our Twitter. We've got all these the link trees up, so you can go to our pods and if you want to listen to whatever podcatcher you have, go to dunkspodcast.com and we've got all our links there. And then we're also on the Sonar Network. We are the one sports podcast on the Sonar Network. We're pioneers for Sonar in sports podcasting, I guess. So you can check us out there. And they've got, I guess, a couple comedy podcasts too that you can listen to that are worth a ha-ha or two. And we do have a Patreon, which we would love if you could join, if you could throw us a couple bones here and there. There's different things. You get the episode the day that we podcast. You get, Freddie's hot sauce if you pay enough. You get, even a toque, maybe. I don't know. We've got so many tiers, so much fun. And I
love it. It almost sounded like you said we have so many tears, like we're crying. We're doing okay. He's talking about TIERS.
The other tier.
Like when you hear the word peer and you're like, is he talking about like a peer or peer imports? You know what I mean? One of those things, like you got to know. This was a super fun episode, and I feel like we got to some good juicy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you hit all the major plugs. Get the toque, help us out with the Patreon, and share, subscribe. And I think before we jump in there, I wanted to talk Terence Davis for a sec. As you know, on this podcast, we believe women. And that's not something we're going to stray from. And it's not something we're going to take lightly either. Also, we are podcasters without a lot of direct, insight into the law, crimes, and how that kind of relates to our favorite NBA franchise, the Toronto Raptors. However, we're not going to walk away from it either. So I think one thing we've talked about early in the podcast is we want to deal with the information we have available, and there is some new information. So I'm going to read the updated, info of Terence Davis from Blake Murphy. Legend Blake Murphy covers the Raptors. So it was initially reported by Woj that all of Terence Davis's 7 charges were dismissed. So that's incorrect. I'm going to read from Blake's Twitter. The full order of protection between Davis and the alleged victim remains in place, subject to any determinations from family court regarding visitation, custody, etc. Further detail. 5 of the 7 charges against Davis were dismissed, relating to assaultive conduct. The family ACD applies to 2 remaining counts: endangering the welfare of a child and criminal mischief in the 4th degree. So you can go ahead and look up what those charges are. We're not going to rehash them here, and we're definitely not going to try to relitigate anything. I am going to say that it's deeply frustrating, both with the Raptors, and I'm going to let Matt jump in here in a sec. But with the NBA and not having any answers, and I kind of just want to let the listeners of this podcast know that we're going to deal with this as sensitively and as honestly as we possibly can. I'm not going to talk about Terence Davis like he's just another player. I'm also not going to ignore what he does on the court either. So I'll try and straddle that line with as much empathy as I possibly can, and expect the same of my guests as well. And if if we're not doing it right, or if you think there are issues with how we are doing it, you can email us. We're open to it and definitely open to learn. But Matt, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, so I want to kind of throw to you in regards to the NBA and the Raptors.
Yeah, I think that, what's upsetting to me is that, this is not going to be the last of it, right, in the NBA. And what really, in my opinion, needs to happen is it needs to come from the top to deal with these kinds of situations. It's got to come from the NBA. They got to set the standard first so that the teams can take the next step from there. And even, I'm not just, as I was telling you earlier, like, I'm not saying like, you got to come out and suspend these guys and put them on leave of absence and punish them and, be harder on them that way. It's like, this needs to be more, it needs to be a part of the league with prevention and education for the players that are coming in, like young men in their late teens and early 20s. Like, they definitely need more education, and not just the NBA, but like all the other pro leagues. This is something that needs to be taken more seriously, because it is a problem. And I think that, yes, punishment is one thing, and it's important to set that precedent, but also we need more education, we need prevention, and the NBA needs to do more. And, just even like looking how, Adam Silver, I think you owe an apology to Masai Ujiri.
Damn right. Oh man. And you know what? I'm actually glad you brought that up, because, the charges were finally fully dropped on Masai Ujiri. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah.
We'll actually, I'm going to just do a quick touch on that.
Yeah.
In a second, we can do more on that next pod, but
yeah,
I really think you are bang on as far as like kind of top down action and prevention and really prioritizing something like, there's been dress codes, speaking of like, bad NBA policies, but there's been really very high expectations with regards to COVID tests, with all sorts of things, with conferences, and trying to tell fans that you can't raise that level of expectation in terms to behavior to treat women with dignity is a staggeringly pathetic thing to have in your league. And obviously there's a lot of reasons that go into it. This male driven world we live in, the patriarchy, the sports being this last bastion of like bro culture. But at the end of the day, it's just unacceptable, and it needs to remain unacceptable. And I think situations like what's happening with Terence Davis actually project to fans that this is acceptable. So this is behavior that we accept. Yeah.
Right? That it's a part of the league.
Exactly. And I'm totally with you. Punishment's a bit too late, right? It's kind of like you have to come from it from a more holistic, real place.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I interrupt you?
No.
but yeah, no, I just kind of want to finish on the Masai thing because I'm really glad you brought that up, and I'm so happy that he's vindicated in this sense. But he said it in a bunch of different interviews that I've seen that he couldn't sleep for 3 days, and he had this moment robbed from him because he was a black man in a suit who was seen as a threat from this white cop. And that's horrible. And he also talks about like having the privilege of this moment was taken away from him. Yeah. But there's many, black men whose lives are taken away from him. There's many George Floyds. And he used that specific reference. And it's not far-fetched. We know it's not far-fetched. So yeah, I think, this is quite the mouthful for anyone just hopping into this pod. But guess what? This is life. And we will talk some Raptors ball and some NBA All-Star stuff. But this is where we're at this week. And no apologies from us, I don't think. Let's hop into this. Black Lives Matter, defund the police. And of course, everyone email your city councilors. We can create change. Get in their ears. You are a constituent. And Matty, if you feel like we're good to go, please, sir, just give me those sweet words. Okay.
Okay.
Sir, level's good. Ready whenever you're ready.
Matty, I'm ready. For those listening, I just got the okay from the top dog. He runs a tight ship here, and I'm locked and loaded and ready to start this podcast. Let's bring on guest number one and start talking about some Raptors ball. She's done the pod a million times. She's got the record for the most appearances. Right. She's our Cal Ripken Jr., incredible writer. She's on This Hour, or she's written for This Hour, The Beaverton, Mr. D, a bunch of other cool stuff. She's also the biggest and first ever fan, pardon me, of Nick Nurse. Like, this is how long her intro is because she's that amazing. Please give it up as loud as you can, even if you're at home alone, for Cathryn Naiker.
Hello.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for just, blessing me with your presence and returning to my show.
Oh, thanks for having me. As always, glad to be consistently available.
Hey, you're, as Ben Golliver says, availability is the best ability.
Yes. Very
actually,
well done.
And you know what I said?
You reversed that. The greatest ability is availability.
Oh, you know what? I did.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ben.
He turned it into a t-shirt. Did you see that?
I would buy that t-shirt.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool t-shirt.
I just want to correct myself though and say, not my pod. It's me and Matt's pod. So, for any of the Matt stands out there who send me threats, it's his pod too. Okay, easy on the threats. I don't need images of snowblowers and what they can do. But yeah, just a quick other availability is the best ability, or the best ability is availability. Mm-hmm. I was listening to a pod where someone was like, you know what? Sorry, but the best ability is ability. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry.
No.
You can't circumvent that quote with something that's like, doesn't actually make sense.
Yeah. Also, Max Kellerman, is that his name, from First Take?
Mm-hmm.
He used it as well. So it's making the round. It's making the rounds.
Max Kellerman, heads up, dude. Okay, let's bring on guest number two. He's amazing. I just did his podcast, Below the Hardwood. We talked about a bunch of stuff. Luka, LeBron's legacy, me trying to name hot sauces. I think I didn't riff as well as I wanted to, but it's not about me. He's a hardcore Mavs fan, also a Raptors stan. So, he gets his credit on this pod. Give it up as loud as you can, even if you're at home alone, for Ryan Henry.
Hey, you know how I feel about the theme music. I love it. Love it. Gets me in the zone, gets me hype. Feeling it.
I'm feeling it too. I just, for anyone watching on YouTube, I just flexed, and those are my real muscles. No worries.
Yes.
Thank you, good sir, for joining the pod. I'm good.
Good. I'm excited. Saw the topics, and I was like, yeah, this is my jam. Yeah. I'm going off on a couple of these, so let's get it going.
I think I'm pretty ready to go off too. And without further ado, Matty, I know you are there. I trust that now with StreamYard. Please, good sir, give me your best Raptors sting. For the win! Meow. Okie doke. Let's Cathryn, let's go to you first, and let's just jump right into the Kyle Lowry stuff. Actually, I told you both before the pod, I'm going to throw out a scenario or two to show you where my head is at. And, there's a Bleacher Report article that just came out. I believe there was also a Philadelphia Tribune album that came out, and Matt's also showing TSN's reporting, Sports Illustrated. So maybe there's quite a bit of publications going on here. But the point here is, and I clumsily have made this joke on Twitter and on Facebook today, to varying degrees of success. But all of these rumors indicate that Masai is maybe the worst GM in the NBA. and that, I think, is the biggest oversight of all of this. It's so, what I mean? It's so strange. No. There's a lot of trade Kyle Lowry rumors that they don't entertain what it's like to be running an organization that isn't allowed.
No, the best is that you inserted the hot take before you finished asking the question.
You know what? I got to do it. That's my ADD brain at work. That's my. Well, I mean, people who know this pod, they know my take on the Kyle Lowry thing. Sure. I don't believe it to be very rational. However, it's big. It's in the zeitgeist right now, so I don't want to ignore it. And the rumors keep coming. I'm not necessarily saying when there's a smoke, there's a fire scenario. For me, that's a little bit explained by the NBA, kind of this trend to get players out of small markets and into big markets, whether that's Hayward or Davis. Like, those rumors have purpose. They're from agents. They're from players. They're pushing the small markets into kind of like being feeder teams. And I think the good GMs are like, no, I'm Pat Riley. No, I'm Masai Ujiri. No, I'm whoever runs the Utah Jazz. But these people are like, I'm a competitor. I don't just roll over to a bigger city. Anyhow, this is where I come in with the Kyle Lowry stuff. So you're seeing the rumors out there. It's like Kyle Lowry to the Heat. He looks so good with the Heat. Obviously, they'd give nothing back. Kyle Lowry to the Clippers. Oh my God, you can reunite him with Serge, Kawhi. I assume the Raptors would take back, all of the bad contracts on the Clippers. And then, of course, you got Philly. Kyle's from Philly. That all syncs up, except it doesn't sync up at all in any way, unless you wanted to take back Harris or Ben Simmons, or, if they want to give back Embiid, I'll entertain that. With that said, and this is the longest preamble of all time because I've introduced my own opinion too many times. I asked you both to concoct like a real Raptors trade, trying to work with what the fans seem to want, which is to give Kyle this proper send-off to a contender. But you got to start with an actual contender and a real trade, which means, you can't just say Kyle goes here, end of day. With that said, I've said this twice on the pod, these two scenarios, but I kind of, I went back to the books and I looked at it again, and the closest best trades I can even muster is Kyle Lowry for Steven Adams of the New Orleans Pelicans. They're 14-17. You know, it's calling them a contender is a huge stretch, but theoretically, you get a guy like Adams. You know, he only has one more year on his contract. I'm assuming in this scenario, you also get all of New Orleans picks. Like you basically get the whole chest. Otherwise, why do you do that? And, you know, that's kind of it for that. The other one is the Nuggets, Jamal Murray. And I think that, yes, Jamal Murray's younger. He's going to have multiple All-Stars and, you know, maybe he's even better than Kyle now. I would say no. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Nuggets felt that way. And, you know, that's a bit of the reverse. We give them Kyle, they give us Jamal. We're probably going to send a bunch of picks back because we're actually trading for the future. So it's kind of like, anyways, that's my like racking my brain with all of the potential trade partners. Those are my best scenarios. I think I've went on for too long. Cathryn, I'm sorry. Please, I'm going to shut up for a bit.
Okay, so a couple things like with all the reports, just like I like years back had a small stint writing for Uprocks, like Dime Mag, and the way it works is like I was scheduled every Friday from like 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. see what was happening, and then just re-report the story. So everyone's reporting on the one story. It's not like they all have their own individual accounts of what's happening. They're just aggregating the same thing. With that being said, listen, Freddie, I have to say this is easily the worst question you've ever asked in the history of this podcast.
Fair.
I hated it. I had a childlike tantrum towards it. I just looked at it and just went, no, like I don't want to do this.
I love that. And I love that it's not bad because my ADD.
I don't want it. I don't have I don't have a good answer. I'm sorry. I just don't. I don't want it. I don't want to do this. I just look like, okay, let me just calm down for a second. Because I am slowly starting to accept that Kyle's gone. Like, I think him selling the house is like, he's gone. Like, there were fans that were like, oh, he's just testing out Toronto's real estate market. No. That is not what he's doing. So with that being said, Freddie, I like your Steve Adams idea, and I like trading out of his position because, like, let's be real, we have too many guards. We need a 5 yesterday. Like, if there's a team that we can get a center for, like, that's the deal we should make. I mean, I'm not worried about giving Kyle what he wants, if he wants to go to Philly or not, because he's a free agent at the end of the season. So he'll go to Philly if he wants to go to Philly. I don't think we the Raptors have to trade him there just to do him a solid. Wherever we trade him, he's only going to be there for a couple months. So I'm not really worried about that at all. Like, I think Kyle's a good sport. If we traded him to a team that wasn't a winning team, he would do his best to, you know, be a mentor and show up and do his thing for those remaining months. And then he'd bounce. So I'm really not into this Philly narrative. I'm really not into even the Miami narrative. I'm not into any of it. I mean, unless we were getting somebody like Bam, I don't have those numbers in front of me. Like, I'm just straight up not into it. I'm sorry.
No, I love it. And I think that you kind of touched on a good point with, you know, if people saw Kyle leave, they'd feel very differently. And I'm piggybacking a little bit on Katie Heindel's point that, you know, she was telling Sean Woodley the other day about this subject, but it's like, you can say bye to all of, you know, the good development you're seeing from all of the Raptors players this year, as soon as Kyle leaves.
Yeah.
And sure, you know, guys like Fred or Pascal or some people are going to have the work ethic, but they're not going to have the extra Kyle Lowry insight. They just won't. He's also not going to text them every day and be like, Fred, you need to do this. You need to do that. He's going to be making, wherever he goes, he's going to be making all those guys better players. So, yeah. This idea that you're going to like lose, you know, or you're not going to lose, you know, kind of like all of the everything Kyle brings is an underappreciation of Kyle. But Ryan, I want to throw to you because I don't want to jump back in and just monopolize.
Ryan's gonna have a real answer.
I don't even know if I'm going to have a real answer because honestly, I'm not the trade machine guy. I can't tell you anything about salary caps, but I do know vaguely some numbers of some players. So I'll try to throw out some, and you can mock or riddle if I'm completely off. But Kyle's at 30 mil. Obviously the do right thing is to send him to Philly, send him to a contender, send him to a team that he apparently prefers because he wants to play in his hometown. He's a Philadelphia Eagles fan like myself, so kind of liked having that with him. And yeah, you know what, go home to Philly. I love it, but realistically the numbers don't work. Who are we getting back? I think the only guy that's worth Kyle money on that team is Joel Embiid, and there's no way in hell they're giving up Joel Embiid for Kyle. So it's like, okay, do you give up Maxey with all his, what he showed, but like, what's his contract worth? Like 3, 4, 5 mil. So like, realistically, is Philly even a possibility? Do we take back that horrible Danny Green contract and ride that again? No, like I'm over Danny Green.
Yeah. Right.
I do like Seth Curry, but honestly, I like the money just doesn't work. So I did take a look at some teams with guys with big money. And again, cool. I don't want to do it, and I don't think they would do it, but obviously Drummond is like the big guy because it's like, okay, he's probably around 30 mil. He's probably around Kyle money. Obviously they're benching him right now to the point where he's out. So, but the only thing is Cleveland has sex lands. So you got Garland and you got Sexton. So it's like, do they even need Kyle? Like, what would Kyle do?
Also, imagine we're like, hey, we're doing Kyle a favor, sending him to Cleveland.
Right? Like, no, like he would resent us for a while. But,
yeah, I don't know how that would go over.
I think he'd be like, I always knew this would happen.
yeah, he would be like slighted. He'd be like, I just want to say, no one ever play for the Raptors again.
Right? It's like, we did it to DeRozan, now we're gonna do it to you. So Cleveland, I'm writing it off, but then I'm like, okay, you know what? I know I'm gonna just throw this out there. Kevin Love. Like, I know this guy is forever injured and it's stupid, but he's a big. He can shoot threes. I feel anytime you discuss trades with the Raptors, the very first thing I always go to is the mold and the culture, because we're just a team that's like, you need to buy into everything that the team is doing or else it's not going to work. So it's like, what I feel like Kevin's a good guy. I feel like he would do that. But my issue with Kevin is, when was the last time he's played a basketball game? So like, I just don't know realistically what you could do. But yeah, I looked at the Pelicans, and there's two names that I did want. JJ Redick. I think I've said on this podcast maybe that I always wanted to see JJ Redick as a Raptor, and his name and Lonzo Ball's name is thrown out a lot. I don't know if Lonzo would want to share the backcourt with Freddie, but hey, buddy, you don't really got a lot of options right now. So those are my picks.
Hey man, you know what? I appreciate both of your answers because, rumors aside, like actually making this happen, it's like, it's intricate. You're scraping the bottom of like a mental gymnastics barrel. Mm-hmm. It's tough. And it's really good. And I think for me, it emphasizes the point, which is it comes from this idea that the Raptors like shouldn't be good, both from America and then also from Raptors fans themselves. It's kind of like this like self-loathing where it's like, you know what? He's so good. We don't deserve him. Which is like, guess what? Guess what? We do deserve him. It's okay. Raptors fans, you can love yourself. Really, it's okay. Brian, I want to stick with you because I know Cathryn's going to have some good nurse stuff. And I feel like, listeners to this pod probably think I have like a hate on for Nurse, and I'm always finding little ways to critique him. So, I mean, I got a podcast, so that's kind of what I'm doing. But I will say he gets paid more money than me because he's smarter and better. And watching that play out this season has been fun. A couple things for me that is really kind of blowing me away is that this idea that other teams are studying what we're doing, the Raptors, so that they could best play defense against another team.
Mhm.
That's just cool. This shuffling of like the bench and the rotations, there's still issues. Like I'm still like, why this guy over that guy? But I'm seeing the like method to the madness. I'm seeing the fact that this is a crazy season in terms of so many games. And, kind of like you have to make sure everyone's healthy. And anyways, I feel like Nurse is kind of, I don't know, everything's more right than I realize. So I just wanted to kind of admit that for someone who's like looking for little critiques. But yeah, Ryan, what's something that, or, what has Nurse done this year that's most impressed you?
Well, he's gotten other people jobs.
Yeah.
When you are a coach and you have a coaching tree, you're hitting that status that's like, okay, you're going to be talked about in like amongst the Phil Jacksons, the Greg Popoviches, the Rick Carlisles, because I just look back, it's like, okay, like Rick Carlisle had Dwayne Casey, who came to us. He had like Portland's head coach, Terry Stotts in Portland. And there's another guy somewhere out there. And it's like, okay, you got that coaching tree. Obviously, Greg Popovich has his coaching tree. And now Nick Nurse has his coaching tree. It's two branches, but it's building. It's getting there. So it's like,
it's cool. And small Doc has Thibodeau, right?
There you go. So it's like, okay, this guy's getting other people jobs. And the way that Minnesota thing went down was kind of ugly. But hey, like, all good luck for Finch, and I hope he does well. That team's kind of a mess, but it's my biggest. I don't know if it's this season, because like this season, to be honest, as much as switching Norm out of the starting lineup back in and out, and it working while Kyle hasn't been here. My biggest memory of Nick Nurse, I felt it was conflicted. I always go over this game. Dallas Mavericks fan. The last Raptor game I went to was the Dallas Mavericks with the Raptors in 2019.
Oh, wow.
2019 or 2020. It feels like it's forever. But it was the legendary game where the Mavs went up by 30. I'm in my Luka Doncic jersey, who wasn't playing that game. And I saw Nick Nurse half court trap the hell out of Dallas into coming back from the biggest deficit in Raptor history, 30 points. And I'm just sitting there. It's like I'm dumbfounded. Like I was happy, but then I'm sitting here in a Dallas Mavericks jersey and I look like a jackass. So I'm just like, oh my god. But like Nick's adjustments. Nick doesn't sit down and just do the same crap over and over again like the other coaches do. He actually gets up and he changes things around. He puts this guy in the starting lineup. He'll bench you, although he's getting a lot of heat for playing a certain somebody and not playing Matt Thomas. I just like that he just doesn't stay. He just doesn't sit and just let it burn. He actually does some changes at some point.
Yeah, and like one thing that I was hearing from Sahal Abdi on the Raptors Republic podcast. And his guests, and they were kind of just chatting about even this over aggressive defense that we've been seeing from Nurse. It's slowly being corrected. Like, I don't know if either of you are noticing, but I am definitely seeing that. Like, it's almost like Bembry's energy. When Bembry started playing defense, it's kind of like Nurse pulled everyone and was like, this is how I want it done, guys. And like, OG is obviously already doing it. So is Fred. But, for guys like Baynes or Pascal or Boucher, like very, capable defenders, they're not just wildly running out to the line. They're running out to the line like a bit more controlled. And it's these small kind of evolutionary details and changes throughout the season that I just find so impressive with Nurse. Cathryn, I saved you for last for this question because, you could come from a lot of angles here. You're a big Nurse fan. You're a Nurse stan. So yeah, what's the most impressive Nurse thing so far?
I mean, look, from my point of view, this season's actually been kind of rough. Like, I just feel like Nick Nurse is out here looking like an old-timey cat burglar. It is not right. He's wearing all black all day, every day. He can't keep his mask on to save his life, which is literally the point.
Mhm.
and he's slicking his hair back like an old mob boss. I hate it.
He is.
I hate it.
I'm surprised.
He is
Ladies
ruining...
and gentlemen, that's Nick Nurse in 4K from Cathryn Naiker.
Not a fan of the casual?
He is actively ruining the fantasy, okay? And I don't like it. I don't know, like, can nobody cut hair in Tampa? I don't know what's going on, but I'm not happy. But from a basketball perspective, obviously I'm happy. He is a brilliant coach. It's hard to be serious after that. No, but it's true. Like, you know, I mean, I feel like you guys said it, like other teams are stealing our coaches, our schemes, you know, it's all forms of flattery. I think the thing that I like about Nick the most this season is just how much he doesn't give a fuck. You know what I mean? He does not care what anybody thinks. Nobody's opinion matters. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. And he doesn't care if it doesn't look good or make sense to outsiders at the time. He's not out here trying to justify it one way or the other. Like, he has a plan, and you know, like you guys said, he's not afraid to adjust. And you know, I feel like he treats basketball like it's this thing that's alive and fluid, and he responds to it all the time.
Yeah, he's a kind of like he has a zen like quality, which it seems like almost like a bit reductive to say, but he did study with Phil Jackson. And you know, he is like a Phil
Did
Jackson.
they study together? I feel like they spent a weekend together.
You know what? For me, that's studying. If you're in the passenger seat,
in my mind, that's just them smoking a lot of weed and just talking about life.
that straight up is how you study with Phil Jackson.
Okay, fair.
I'm
fair,
not
fair.
even
We're
kidding.
saying the
Like,
same thing. We're saying
like everything I've ever heard about Phil Jackson is like, it's like, I'm going to learn from Phil Jackson. And you meet in like the middle of a cornfield and you're like, where's Phil? And a pickup truck comes by and he's like, hop in the side. We're going to go strawberry picking. Like, I actually think that's what they did. They went strawberry picking and Nick's like, I have a couple X's and O's questions. And Phil was just like, look at that mountain. It'll tell you what you need to know.
Every strawberry is a triangle. Anyway.
That's right. Yeah, every strawberry is the triangle offense. He's like, Nurse is like, this really did work in the 90s, Phil, but it's like, no, it will still work. You got to get the ball out of Michael's hands, Nick. Cathryn, let's stick with you on this and just finish off with the Raptors Hall of Shame. And Matt, you know, no pressure. I'll go to you last in case you want to throw in a candidate for this, because I feel like this is right up your territory. But so the first, you know, hopefully there isn't like an obvious candidate, but the Hall of Shame so far for the Raptors is Yuta Watanabe getting crowned by the first overall pick, Anthony Edwards, which really, when you think about it, is not the most embarrassing thing because he tried to really block the shot, and you don't get dunked like that if you're really going for the block. And, you know, but it was a crowning, a big time. And the Baynes play, my goodness. Baynes got a pass from Matt Thomas, went to shoot. The ball went backwards. Like he kind of blocked himself somehow. And then he realized he couldn't touch the ball. So he did have enough presence of mind to kind of like half box out Embiid, who fell. Because Embiid, come on, you fall too much. And then it's a broken play. Somehow goes to Siakam, who passes it back to Embiid for the dunk. Anyways, this is like a shacking a fool, like Hall of Fame. Anyhow, so those are two obvious Hall of Shame candidates. Cathryn, what is the third?
I don't know, man. I mean, those are just like the very clear top two. But I have to say with Yuta, like, I mean, Freddie, you kind of touched on it. Like, Yuta should not be shamed for that dunk. Okay. He legitimately tried to block it. We need to change the culture. Okay, guys. We need to change the culture. We need to stop shaming guys who try to block the dunk and instead shame the guys who run away when they know someone's about to dunk. Come
I don't know
on.
what to tell you, but
Businessmen.
Bargnani was the best defensive center that ever played because he barely got dunked on.
Yeah.
And JV being a layup line, that's because he's smart. Seriously, Sean Bradley to me is like one of the best examples, right? He's the human poster, and he had multiple seasons where he averaged over 2 blocks. He had a season where he averaged 3.7 blocks.
Yeah.
So if you're literally blocking everything nonstop, you're going to get dunked on. Not saying that that's Utah.
Just the thing is, the Aaron Baynes play just stands out so much, and I'm sure there's just like an Aaron Baynes clip reel that would just make me roll my eyes to the back of my head. It's an Aaron Baynes clip reel. I'm sorry, it just is.
Okay, so your answer
I'm sorry
is that keep watching Baynes and you'll keep getting Hall of Shame moments.
Yeah, there's probably one per game.
There actually is 100%. Ryan, is there a Hall of Shame moment we're missing?
Well, I will actually agree with Cathryn there. You know what? LeBron made a business move and nearly took out Joel Embiid. So Utah did something honorable. He just took it. He accepted it. He didn't try to push the man in midair and ruin his career. Where guys like LeBron either they'll step out of the way, make a business move, and possibly cause harm. So Yuta, he's the man. He's the man. Let's just leave him alone. But I would say my Raptors shame moment is 5 players, and it was against the Boston Celtics. If you guys remember that game,
I do.
It was about a minute or so of really horrible basketball where both teams could not score, and it was the sloppiest I remember sequence I've ever seen. It was bad, and it was 5 guys, so they can all share in the shame. All 10 of them actually. So
wow, that's a shared award.
Yeah.
I think I have one that hasn't been picked yet, but let me throw to Matt first, just in case. Matt, I put you on the spot here, so
yeah,
no pressure. But is there any play that stands out to you as like a Hall of Shame moment?
Yeah, there is one play that stands out back early in the season. I hate to pick on the guy because I think the media is really hard on him, but the Pascal spin and shoots to win the game.
Oh my God!
times.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, you know what?
Oh my God! Perpetually spinning.
Matt's taking my joke question and he's hitting Raptors fans in the heart with a punch that says, who's in the Hall of Shame? Your star player.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah. Well, just put it in there as a reminder for him to not do that in the, when you're down to the wire. But also I'd like to put the refs into the Hall of Shame. They're going to come in, onto our Hall of Shame, especially on that missed call on Norm.
Yeah.
That Ben Simmons whacked his hand right off, flew off his bloody hand. He got hit so hard. Now Norm's hand is thing on the Adams family. It's just... It's very shameful that didn't get a call whatsoever. But that's what went through my head. It just like his hand got ejected into that creepy mansion known as the Adams family.
And you know what? All the Matt stands out there, I know I'm going to hear it from you. Shame on me for not going to Matt more, because this is what you get. You get an answer that ends in a severed hand and no reference to the movie Idle Hands. But yeah, I'm glad you didn't bring up Idle Hands. The reference is Thing, the Addams Family, rock star of a show, had a bigger cultural output than anybody realizes. Now, let me just say mine was the Norm botch dunk. But I think that all of you had better answers. So cheers.
I barely had an answer.
You did. But you know what? I wasn't going to call you out.
Thank you.
Okay, that was like, I don't know why that felt tense, but I think I just needed to breathe.
I didn't feel tense at all.
You know what, folks? Sometimes you might feel tense. Take a breath. Let's move on to some NBA stuff. Maddie, I don't know what you got for me. Hopefully, maybe it's an Adam Silver foghorn. We shall see. Good sir, please. Give it to me.
It's trade season, folks. Warm up them fax machines.
Wow. AOL days.
Oh, wow.
Masai Ujiri's office is just on a tugboat somewhere.
I just love that. For whatever reason, it's Alvin the Chipmunk saying text Bobby Webster and Masai Ujiri, but then the sounds of a fax play. So I don't really understand.
He's saying faxing Masai Ujiri. Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, he's not saying texting?
No.
Okay, well.
I'm not trying to make it too confusing here.
Okay, well,
but it looks
it
like
worked perfectly for me because I was trying to pull up the 2021 All-Star selections to make sure we can work on my question here. But I think this question has a little bit of a necessary start that we'll probably all agree with. We'll see. I'm going to throw to you, Ryan, because I'll kind of let you take it. But my question is, who is the biggest snub in the Eastern Conference in relation to All-Stars? But I think you're taking some exception to the word snub, so I'll let you go from there.
Yeah, before I give you my snubs, I just want to say, like, I just feel the word is used way too much, and I feel like it's all lost all definition because I've seen so many of these sports companies put out, here's your list of snubs, and it's like 15 guys. It's like, it's an all-star game. Like, it's supposed to be the top 24 guys from each conference. Like, we can't just keep calling everyone a snub just because your favorite player didn't make the team. And unfortunately, I'm just being a realist here, guys. I love Freddie. I have a Van Fleet jersey. I was defending him when everyone was crapping on him in the finals for taking those horrible 3-point shots. But who are you taking off? If you call somebody a snub, you have to follow it up with, I am taking this person off. A lot of people will say, oh, this he got snubbed, but who are you going to replace? So when I look at the East, I'm like, the people who got in because they deserved it. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you're not taking off James Harden. You're not taking off Kyrie. You're not taking off Brad Beal. And you're not taking off Ben Simmons. So and sorry, you're not taking off Jaylen Brown. It's as much as the Celtics have floundered in like the last couple weeks. It's like they're all technically having better seasons than Fred VanVleet, in my opinion. I don't know, but I'm just like, hey, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be a homer. I'm trying to be a realist. The East got stacked when James Harden came here, and that probably took Freddie's spot, you can say. But even after that, my biggest East snub is actually Trae Young.
Wait a second. Did Trae Young not make it?
Nope.
No.
Oh,
and he was starting last year. Okay, yeah, I can see some Trae Young. I think that's a pretty good Eastern snub. And let me just I'm just popped up the NBA.com open, but yeah, I think there's a couple people at the end of that list that I think could be moved potentially. But your point is key. James Harden coming over really did, like, if you're not genuinely putting James on the All-Star game, it's like you've got something wrong. Like, he's so unbelievably good that it would be hilarious to make the mental gymnastics argument that somehow Fred is better than James. This segment for me isn't really like a who is Fred better than on the team, because I don't necessarily think that there's a real answer to that. Like, if you want to go Fred on the All-Star team, you got to go like advanced, stats. You got to go like, there's a lot of different kind of intricate arguments you have to make. Yeah.
But Trae Young, I'm feeling that. Let's go to you, Cathryn. Who's your? Oh wait, let me say one thing. I do think though that the word snub isn't good, but it kind of serves this purpose of like introducing a future All-Star. Like Damian Lillard every year was a snub until he made it. And it's kind of like, it's kind of saying like, this guy's in the territory
I
of
like
being
that.
an all-star. I think that's a way of saying it's like, this guy's on the precipice, but I do agree that snub implies that being a top 30 player in the NBA is like something to sneeze at, which is like, what? That's weird. But Cathryn, yeah, what's did you have an Eastern Conference snub?
Yeah, I actually have a real answer to this question.
Woo!
I think earlier in the year, I was very like, yeah, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum deserve to be Eastern All-Stars.
I like where you're going with this.
I think having 2 players from a team under 500 on an All-Star team isn't right. And I think the narrative didn't catch up to the record. And I think with that being said, one of those 2 have to go. And I agree, Trae Young is the biggest snub. Also, why do people hate Trae Young? I don't get it. Like, people viscerally hate Trae Young. Like they want to beat him up. It is weird out there, man, how much people hate that guy. And I don't know why. Like, I'm looking at the games and I'm like, I don't see it. I just don't see it. I don't see why everyone hates him. And I think, like, you got to realize, like, this is the fans not voting him in. Like, they voted him a starter last year, and this is the coaches not voting him in. And I just don't get why this guy is so unliked.
Well, and this is kind of like, goes into the reputation conversation, which is a tough one because it's hard to navigate like where people's minds are at any particular time. And you hit on my major point, which is I think the Celtics being 2 games below 500 and Brown and Tatum really not having scary stats is an example of the Boston media kind of ruling the day. And
absolutely,
that's how the NBA works, right? Like the Boston, if you play for Boston and LA, you get media play straight up. That's why people look at Marcus Smart as someone who's way better than OG, right? Which is, insane in my opinion, but it's like, it's a thing. And I think a lot of people will be like, Marcus Smart's way better than OG. What are you talking about, Freddie? And I would be like, oh shoot, you're wrong. He's not. But like, it's a weird thing. And that gets me to my guy, which isn't Fred, but I'm kind of like looking down like the stats here, and the person that I'm kind of like, wait a second, what really is the reasoning for not having him on the All-Star team? And that's Bam Adebayo. I think his defense is incredible. I think it's awesome that Julius Randle can get triple doubles in losing games. And I know that the Heat are losing as well. But Bam, if you're doing this like reputation thing, Bam was a major, major factor in the playoffs. We just saw him last night and he like mitigates our whole team. He's a nightmare. And I think he wins games. And he's someone to me who was kind of like a shoe-in last year. And I think it's just a record thing. So it's almost like, anyways, yeah, like him over Tatum in my sleep, no problem. And that's just because I think Tatum had a couple massive weeks to begin the year, started slumping, and people haven't really been paying attention. But yeah, so my guy, did you pick someone, Cathryn?
Yeah, I picked Trae Young.
Okay, right. Sorry. So let's stick with you for the West. And yeah, did you have a snub in the West?
I actually thought the West looked pretty solid. I didn't think there were any major snubs. I mean, I think Chris Paul getting it over Devin Booker is just like a legacy vote, but I'm kind of like, maybe you give it to Devin Booker over Chris Paul because, Chris Paul's legacy is sealed at this point. I don't think he needs it the way an up-and-comer like Devin Booker does. Now, with that being said, Anthony Davis is injured. He's not going to play. So whoever the big Western snub is, they're going to get their spot anyway. So I didn't really feel like there are any major snubs in the West this year.
Yeah, I think that's pretty fair. Like the one person I was kind of like looking at and like just wondering about is Zion Williamson. But he's been pretty great. So I don't know. And I think
he in?
he is in, and actually
yeah.
The person I was half
Oh,
thinking
sorry. Yeah.
is maybe Ingram, his teammate, over him. Ryan, is there a Western Conference snub you got?
Well, yeah, I think you just said that Ingram didn't make it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Ingram on that team, Ingram, the whole LA thing with all the Laker players in different places just playing amazing. Ingram's one of them. So again, I don't like the snubs because I think the West is set. I think it's great. I think it's perfect the way it is. I thought the East was perfect the way it was. But yeah, if I have to name one, I'm going to go Ingram because his play's been awesome. But you play for the Pelicans. You guys are losing. So nobody really wants to look at that, as anything. But no, honestly, I was set from the West side. I'm glad Devin got in as a sub. And I think Maddie had this awesome stat about Dirk being the biggest snub from 2001, was it? So yeah, I love that. Facts, absolute facts. So, but yeah, you could say DeMar. You could say DeMar because the fact that the Spurs are back in the playoff race.
And yeah, they're like, I was just looking at
that's a good
the standings. I can go back, but I think the Spurs were like, are they 16
fifth
and
or
1?
sixth? They're fifth or sixth right now. And
Whoa,
yeah, like
I didn't realize they were that good.
Exactly. If you're one of those people that are like winning matters, then you're like, then you don't have a great excuse for DeMar not being on the team.
Yeah.
But again, though, like I think both of you touched on this, and I think we kind of solidified it with the whole snub conversation, which is that like, yeah, these teams are stacked. Well, I'm just looking at them now. Maybe you want to say Vucevic. He just doesn't play enough defense to keep getting on the All-Star team. So because Vucci has just insane offensive stats, but
yeah,
at some point you got to help your team win games.
Yeah, at some point you just got to abolish the conferences, honestly.
A little bit of that too.
Sorry, not to just introduce a topic. I'm just saying.
No, it's true. And
It's
every
true.
time someone like openly ponders how many All-Stars DeMar would have if that was the case, I just like to not think about it. I just like to not think about it because it's I don't know, it's not a lot.
That's funny. It's true.
But let's move on to some quickish questions and finish this pod in our classically silly manner. I don't know what that was, but Maddie, please, sir, give me your most beautiful quickish questions. Sting.
Quickish Questions.
How's that reverb? Was that cool? Thank you.
Very.
Thank you, Matt. I just thought that no one would say anything. You were gonna laugh, and that was the end of it. But you all know Quickish Questions. I'm gonna get through these questions the best I can. Might stammer, slur, seizure, stroke, or stutter. And you can't phone a friend. You can't. Oh wow, this is great. Oh my god. I guess I'll read it. Matt's putting it up for me. I'm so scripted. No phoning a friend. No stalling. No stretching. Freddie is allowed to stutter and slur. Maybe I shouldn't have read that out. That was rough. I just owned myself. Cheers. And for any 12-year-olds out there, I'd be happy to play you in Fortnite and get pwned all day. Okay. With that aside, let's get down to some quickish questions here. Let's go, Ryan, Cathryn, Matt.
Okay.
Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay. Ryan, from your buddy Alan, Kyle Lowry's WWE wrestling equivalent.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Ric Flair. Anytime he shoots a 3-ball, who do you think is giving him the woo? Ric Flair, let's go.
Oh my God, yes. I said X-Pac. Totally wrong. Cathryn, this is okay. What team surprised you the most with how bad or well they're doing this season? So who's the big surprise?
Well, the bad teams are the most surprising, like Dallas, the Celtics, the Heat. basically, sorry, Ryan. You know what? I'll go with the Celtics just to spare Ryan's feelings.
There we go.
Pretty big surprise. Matt,
Yes.
how short is too short for a center? Relevant question these days.
Too short for a center. Anyone under 6'6".
Okay, you hear that, PJ Tucker? You keep
I was
wearing
just
those
going to
high
say
tops.
anyone named PJ Tucker.
PJ Tucker, you keep those high tops on. Ryan, how tall is too tall for a point guard?
How tall is Anthony Davis?
I think he's 6'11", 6'10".
Let's go with that. Yeah.
Whoa.
Okay, I like it. Cathryn, which current NBA player would you have the best chance against in a one-on-one game?
Oh, this is so shady. I'm just gonna straight up go with Aaron Baynes.
How dare you?
Oh.
Aaron Baynes fan club? You know what to do.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Be polite. Matt,
Yes.
5 seconds. Oh, you know what? I can't ask Matt this. Okay. You know what? Forget about that. Matt,
Okay.
what's an ideal and realistic trade for the Raps?
Jeez Louise. Realistic trade.
And
I think
ideal.
it's pardon me?
And ideal.
Ideal. Well, obviously we need a big. We need a big bad, but we need one that doesn't have hands that are stuck in cement. So I do like what you said earlier with Steven Adams. I've been joking about getting Steven Adams onto this team for like the last year, and I want it to be a real thing, and I think it won't cost us very much.
Adams and Baynes, play the boys up, eh? See, I can't do an accent because it goes away immediately. I said Pierre instead of Pierre. Ryan, this is the question I couldn't read. Matt,
All right.
5 seconds left. Your team's down by 2. You're inbounding. Both Freddie Rivas and and Matty D are open for a 3. Who do you pass the ball to for the win, to take the winning shot?
5 seconds left.
That's right.
All right. I'm going to go obscure. I'm going to pass it off somebody's back, and I'm going to take the shot myself.
Wow.
Trey Young styles.
Yeah.
Ryan's answer to that question is he just goes full Will Smith, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
And he uses me and Matt's back as a prop.
Trey just put that into my head.
Honestly, thank you so
Right
much.
decision.
Please pass it off Matt's back and jump off mine for a dunk. Cathryn, what's your biggest Raptors concern?
Oh, there's so many.
You're like, I'm a Raptors fan. I'm worried.
We've talked in depth about Kyle, so I'm gonna go with Masai. I still don't know. I still think Masai's the biggest free agent this year. I
Me
don't know
too.
what's
I hate
happening with
even
that,
talking
so-
about it.
Yeah, it's Masai for sure.
Matt,
Yes.
you are one of the Space Jam aliens. You got to watch that movie, bro. Which current NBA player will you steal their talent from?
Okay, so I'm a bit familiar with the aliens. I got to that part.
Matt's watched half of this movie, by the way.
Really?
That's
Yeah.
brutal.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna finish it before the second one comes out. Don't worry.
1 minute a day is what he does.
If I'm gonna steal some skill, I'm going to the old source. I'm going to LeBron James. I'm taking that.
Hell
Even
yeah.
though he's the star though. He's the Michael Jordan. Can you take his?
Yeah, it doesn't really work for the movie. You got to watch it.
Well, it doesn't.
Don't tell me how it ends.
Don't tell me how it ends. Bugs Bunny dies. Sorry, bro. He dies hard. It's like the last Superman comic. Okay, Ryan.
Sorry, imagine there's death in Space Jam. Like,
Yeah, this new one, there's gonna be like death, sex. It's gonna be like fun. Ryan, are the Raptors currently buyers or sellers?
Well, I want to say both, but I guess we're selling. We're selling Kyle Lowry apparently. So I don't know. Yeah, so let's go with sellers. I think we're sellers.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Cathryn.
Mm-hmm.
This is fun. Who shouldn't be an all-star, and why is it Jason Tatum?
I feel like I actually pled my case earlier in that Trae Young
Right?
deserves to be there. We all got to stop hating on him. And yeah.
Shout out to Yao,
brilliant.
who will be on the
Shout
pod
out
next
to Yao.
week. And this is a funny one, just because I don't know why it's here again, but Matt, I'm gonna read this question. How short is too short for a center? Different person.
Well, too short for a center. I'm gonna say that like you can't be 4 feet. That's too short.
I hear that. Okay, we're gonna make this last one an all play. Ryan, starting with you. After seeing Chris Finch get hired away in the middle of a season, what coach or front office executive would you steal away from another team right now, today?
Does it matter what franchise? Not really. It doesn't.
You can just take whoever you want.
Oh, man. Ooh, that's okay. I'm just gonna say Brad Stevens. I just like Brad Stevens.
How dare you?
Look what he's doing. Got to do it, Brad Stevens.
Kill me. Cathryn, who are you gonna take? Any franchise? Any coach?
Sorry,
GM?
any franchise's coach?
Or even an executive?
To replace Chris. I don't know. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm messing this up. Am I replacing Chris Finch?
You are
Is that the
replacing
question?
Chris Finch, yes,
With
but
another assistant?
But it can be an assistant. It can be King Cake Baby. Honestly, whoever you want.
Okay. This is gonna be a stupid answer, but I'm gonna go with the head coach of the Hawks, Lloyd Pierce, because he might get fired, and then he's the second hottest coach in the league, in my opinion. And then we would have the top 2 hottest coaches.
I like it. Maddie, Chris Finch flew away.
Yeah.
To the Minnesota Timberwolves. Who are you going to replace him with?
Well, it's going to be real weird, but I think he would accept it as be a bit of a demotion, but I'd like Dwayne Casey to come back as an assistant coach.
Oh my God.
I want The Rock back.
You guys are killing me.
Internal sabotage happening.
Brad Stevens, Dwayne Casey slander. How dare this? Okay, that's the end of the pod, though. Thank you, everyone, for listening, and thank you both for doing it. But before we kind of jump out here, let's go to you first, Cathryn. What's up? Where can people find you, read you, all that good stuff?
I host a weekly podcast called Buckets and Tea NBA Show. It's we put out episodes every Monday. You can find that wherever you find your podcasts, and you can follow me on socials at it's me_Cathryn, spelled Cathryn.
Hell yeah. Sweet. Ryan, what's up? Where can people find you? Below the hardwood, but tell them about all the stuff.
Below the Hardwood NBA podcast weekly. You can join me, Alan, Dex. We like to say that we're unique and have some interesting takes. And
they are unique.
You are unique.
You can say it.
And you can follow me at RA Henry and pretty much that everywhere. Luckily, I was able to grab it in most places. But yeah, BTH on NBA.
Freaking sick. Also feel pretty good that I was able to get my name in most social medias. I don't know why. I think it's the Canadian Nicaraguan mix. There's not a lot of those. But we've arrived to the end of the pod. Thank you all so much. Maddie, you're the superstar we all deserve. I don't know what that is. But thank you so much. Share, subscribe, hit up our Patreon, and help us out if you can. Or just listen, whatever. Matty, thank you so much. If you feel like we're good to go and we're all set, please, sir, just give me those sweet words, okay?
Okay.
This podcast has been brought to you by the Sonar Network. Sonar!